Okay, price control. Last week we discussed price control. Before that, this is market equilibrium. It has very meaningful, many sense. Okay, first of all, market equilibrium. Okay, leave the market alone. It does its job superbly on its own. Okay, don't worry. So you don't need to be concerned about the market equilibrium, demand, supply. So we define these firms. The firm, what firm? We have many firms right here. There. What firms? Second hour today, we will talk about many firms. Page 5, CY and Company. Middle of page 5, JU and Company, Sumin and Company, Mingyi and Company, JU and Company. There are so many firms. Then there are so many consumers like 성철, 경화, TJ, PY, 병윤, YH, 영현. So many consumers, okay? So, as we understood, this is firms, represent the firms what? S curve individually, S curve represent, this is from what? Always this is from MPC, some type of cost, as I keep saying, this is marginal utility. Demand curve, all demand curves represent some type of marginal benefit, while supply curves represent some type of cost. In this particular case, this is product market, of course. Product market, this is represent your marginal utility. Also, so this is your what? 경화's, what does this represent? 경화's purchase plan, right? Or demand schedule, or in a sense, willingness to pay. Can you understand what why this represents willingness to pay? Okay. Consumers collectively, you are consumer demanders. What I mean is that this many consumers are ready to pay at this high price, right? This many consumers are ready to pay at this price, right? In a sense, okay, demand curve represents consumers' collective willingness to pay. Right? You understand that, right? Taejun, you understand that? Okay. Then this is, what does this mean? Flip side of that, supply curve represent, okay, firms' collective willingness to sell. They are ready to sell at this price, particular price, this much. So this represents willingness to buy, pay, to buy, or we say rather than buy, we say pay. Okay, this represents consumers' willingness to pay, and then this is willingness to sell. Then this is equilibrium, right? As we all understand, leave the market alone, equilibrium will be set right at this price, right? P0. Jian, what's the quantity? If the price is P0, what's the equilibrium quantity? Jian, this question is for you. Price is P0, what's the quantity? Okay, Q0. Okay, that's Q0. Okay, so come to think of it. Here, this price, at the market price, everyone, okay, who wants to buy at this price gets it. Is it clear to you? So the flip side of that, everyone who's ready to sell at the price sells it. Is it clear? Someone, is it clear to you? Okay. No difference at all. The prevailing market price, everyone gets it. Okay. Everyone sells it. Okay. No leftover, no nothing. Okay. Okay. So no room for complaint. Everybody sells. Everybody buys. Okay. No complaint at all. That's one thing. And secondly, come to think of it, just conceptually, you think price falls down this way. Originally, the price may have started at very high. And then, as the price falls down to the equilibrium, who sells first? No, who gets first? This guy, you're comparing this particular consumer, this consumer who's more desperate for this thing. Who gets more value from buying this? This one, let's say A, consumer B. Who gets the higher value from getting this? A, right? That's exactly the order. Of course, this is a conceptual thing. As price falls down, okay, the order of getting it is the most value, the person who gets the highest value to the lowest value, right? Similar way, you think in that way. As price goes up, okay, the cheapest producer sells first, and then that's very fair, right? Now, from the society perspective, that's very efficient, we say. Okay, so it results in a limit. Okay, Zhengwan, right? I have only one can of this. How much are you ready for? How much are you willing to pay for this? 50 cents, how much? Say in dollar, that one. 70 cents, right? Yeah. Who gets this first? That's the only one. He gets first, right? That's fair, very fair. Huh? Is that clear? Because if there is only one can, for two of them compete for consumption, then who should get this one? The one who attaches higher value. That's fair, right? That's efficient. Because by doing that, as I said, his consumption value only 50 cents, his consumption value is 75 cents. So, but to mention, if he consumes that, we have total, the society creates more value by, higher value by 25 cents. Okay, that's efficient, we say. Now, let's talk about this one, price ceiling. Ceiling, this is price floor, right? Ceiling, okay. Don't try to go above the ceiling. Okay? The ceiling is the price you cannot go above. Okay, this one. This is price ceiling. P ceiling. Here, at this price, what is the quantity demanded? This is QD, right? Then what is the quantity supplied? Okay, left one, right? Quantity supplied. In this case, one more time, the government cannot force anyone to do against their own will, his or her own will. So price set. So if you are suppliers, so suppliers who are willing to sell only this many, right? The other way around, okay, consumers who are willing to buy or are willing to pay this many. Okay. So one problem, okay, it's unfair. Some of the consumers who are willing to pay this price do not get, while others get. It's unfair, right? It's discrimination, isn't it? It is discrimination, 소민을, right? That's discrimination. So I have all of them, 정환, 재우, 민기, 상현, they are ready to pay this stuff at 50 cents. But I have only two of this. Then some of them will get, some of them will not. Others will not, right? Is that clear? This is unfair. There's the same, equally legitimately registered for this course. I shouldn't discriminate, should I? I shouldn't discriminate, right? Okay. So, Seung-won, would you be happy if I give special favor to Seon? To you? This is unfair, right? That's unfair. Huh? That's one problem. So once we understood that we need the so-called rationing mechanism, right? This many is wanted, and this many is available. So whom to give the scarce things? That's what I call rationing mechanism, right? And then apparently, there could be many possibilities, right? We discussed lottery, first come, first serve the basis, many different bribery, personal relationship, this type of thing. Okay. Then think about the quantity is limited this much, right? Okay. So in terms of efficiency, it's an extension of the same logic. Okay. The two, he bid for 75 cents. He bid for 50 cents, right? In terms of value to the society, he should get this, right? But there's no guarantee, right? Here, quantity is limited here. Okay. In terms of value creation to the society, who should get this security? In this order, right? In this order, up to here. It's ideally preferable, right? It's ideal. But there's no guarantee. Simply, I distribute the thing through lottery. There's no guarantee, right? Highest value will get it. There's no guarantee, right? It's simply is arbitrary. For example, whoever gets it at all gets at this price, right? That's the definition of price floor. So simply this is what you call random, no order of, okay, simply random. This guy may get this one, the thing. This guy who's lucky enough will get this one. Then this guy who's unlucky, okay. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't have the luck to get this one. Then he will be left out, right? Then is it efficient? From this guy, value is very small, right? From this guy, the value would have been very high, very low. So that's big problem in the society, right? One more time. This guy, while a guy who attached the small value gets it, while the other guy who gets much higher value couldn't get it, cannot get it. Is it clear? That's inefficiency. Unfair as well as inefficiency. Is it fair? It's not. It's not fair. First of all who wants to buy at the price cannot buy it, just selectively, right? Then the big problem, in the practical problem in the world is that there is no such a thing as one right rationing mechanism. So I take this mechanism, somebody will grumble. I take that mechanism, somebody else will grumble. Is it clear? So there is no such thing as one right rationing mechanism. That's big problem. So lots of complaints regarding the rationing process. Pretty much the same story here. Okay. Now we have a floor. Okay. So, Jihyun, don't try to go below the floor. So you cannot go down below this price floor. Closest example is, of course, minimum wage. Minimum wage that the government sets the minimum wage. So on price floor. Same story, exactly same story. P floor. Okay, quantity. Okay, supplied. This hopefully. This is of course. This is hopefully. This much quantity will not be consumed, right? Hopefully, they want to consume this much. In this case, the other way around. QS is hopefully. They want to sell this much, this many, but only. At this problem, there are only this many demand. So, would you produce anything that you cannot sell? Would you? You would sell, right? Then, if you are willing to sell this much, but you cannot produce this much. At this time again, we need a rationing mechanism, right? Who gets the right to sell this? Remember, okay, quantity. Okay, willingly to be sold is this many, but practically possible to sell is this many. So we need a rationing mechanism, same story. That's unfair, right? So this many, out of this many firms, only this many can sell. Is it clear? So not everyone that wants to, that is who is willing to sell, is that or who, which is grammatically correct. The only forms that who, that can sell, whatever. Okay, this is not the grammar course. So that can sell, let's say that can sell at this particular price is limited, right? Not all can sell at the price. That's unfair, right? That's unfair. Then this the inefficiency is there from the source. It's very much arbitrary or random. This guy, okay, cannot sell, while this guy can sell. This is simply arbitrary. Remember, anyway, this many numbers we have to choose only this many through lottery. Let's simply assume lottery case. Then in that case, this can very easily happen, right? A guy, let's say C, D, a firm C produces the thing and sells at the price P, F. While he cannot do that. He cannot do that because simply he couldn't secure the right to sell, or the fortune, the luck to sell from the lottery or anything like that. Is that clear? Then, from the society perspective, you make the same thing. Okay? Mingi and Sangyeon make the same thing. Let's say this one. He can make this at 50 cents. He can make this at 30 cents. From society perspective, who should make the thing? If only one opening for the production, right? The same thing, okay? Then from society perspective, remember, cost means opportunity cost, right? Always. Okay? Could you produce this? His opportunity cost is only 30 cents, while his is 50 cents. What that means is that somewhere else, the highest value he can create is 30 cents. Something else he can create is 50 cents. So from society the perspective, who should get the privilege to sell the thing? Cheaper producer, right? But there's no guarantee like that. But in this case, liberal market always is okay in the order of efficiency. Okay, highest bidder gets it first. Okay, lowest producer sells it first. Okay. Things like that. And then that's one. That's efficiency. So we will come to that in greater detail in the second hour today. So that's efficiency and fairness. Is that clear? So market outcome is the fairest as well as the most efficient. Okay. Now let me refer you to page 1 of class note. Okay, this is now green board is pretty much from this page 1. Okay, turn to page 2. Okay, so make things worse is that this is in Korea, very much Korean scheme. Apartment 분양가 상한제. The thing is that price we have dual market, okay, primary market and secondary market. Primary market, secondary market, you have to know that. So any asset market, there is primary market and secondary market. Newly issued stocks and bonds, or newly built houses, we call primary market. Then the market for existing stocks, bonds, any asset, gold anyway. Diamond, same story. You extract diamond from the earth, that's primary market. If there is anything, there could be something like that. And then secondary, in the Korean language, 발행시장, 유통시장. It's useful to remember. So dual market. So problems with Korean case is that price floor, price ceiling, okay, 분양가 상한제 applies only the primary market. Secondary market is free. Okay. The problem is that those who are fortunate enough to get the thing, the apartment at the primary market much cheap price, then the market price, he can turn around, then resell it. Okay, so at much higher, the diagram is here. I refer you to diagram here. The story is something like this: selling primary market, then of course leave the market alone. The market equilibrium will be S0, but because of the ceiling, price ceiling, primary market. Okay, so can anything go to directly to the secondary market without going through primary market? Right? Okay. Can you be an adult without being a baby? Can you? So, okay, so this is things like S star is because of the control, primary market quantity is limited right here. Then here at this price we have big gap between quantity demanded and quantity supplied, right? We need a rationing mechanism here too. So incidentally, Korean government takes the lottery system for this one. Okay, allocation of newly built apartment. Okay. Those who are fortunate enough, as I say, this price and just turning back, because but of course we need a government stipulates a time gap between maybe 3 years later or 5 years later. But in any case, there is something like black market. You can do that very easily. Like there are many ways to circumvent the regulation. So simply put, those who get fortunate enough to get this low price, turn back. That's what what do you call this? Premium, right? You can simply enjoy premium. So my question is that, so is the world fair enough to give the fortune to the poorest people first?
No.
What do you think?
No.
No, never, right? Okay. So the fortune doesn't recognize who's pretty or not, who's poor or does it? Does the fortune recognize intelligence, smartness, or income level, wealth level? Doesn't discriminate, right? Simply it's random. So, this problem. Okay, so middle of page 2, here lessons. Simply put, price controls are inefficient, unfair. Then I don't have this. You don't have time to discuss this, but we'll discuss this in the spring. What I mean by this one is that subsidies, direct subsidies, are much better proposition than price ceiling or things like that. Yeah. So market intervention is anyway the worst choice of all. But the thing is that even if subsidies are much better alternative than price controls, but in the real world, what we see is price controls, not subsidies. Okay. The reason is why simply this is the story, what we call political feasibility. However good proposition, if it is not politically feasible, it will not be enacted, you believe me. Right? It's the politicians, right, who makes policies. That's politicians, right? So the term sounds very nice, sounds great, but yet if it is not politically feasible, you will not have that, I guarantee. Yeah. So this is more feasible politically, setting a price control or offering subsidy. Offering price control is much simply because there's very many economists found out this thing. The more opaque is indirect or hidden, then the more politically feasible. That's subsidy is very direct, right? The poor people, I'm going to help you with subsidies. Very direct. It's very highly feasible, right? But I don't say that I step aside back. So I'm not good. Discrimination is not my political philosophy. Simply, I am going to set the price controls. It's not feasible, right? People actually most people don't really understand what effects of this type of trade barriers. So in the spring, we'll talk about effects of trade barriers. Trade barriers, tariffs, bans, it's not, people don't understand what the effects are. In this time again, you want to protect agriculture, simply give farmers subsidies. That's more efficient proposition to the society. But in terms of political feasibility, if I give subsidies to farmers only, will you accept that? No, you wouldn't accept that. But protection of tariff on agricultural goods, people simply don't understand what the effects are to you and to them. So this is really interesting comments by a commentator. Think about that. American farm subsidies, that's extremely complicated. Okay? That only two groups of people in America, in the world actually, know how they work. American agricultural subsidy system, how it works, only two groups of people in the world know it. Guess who they are? Okay, farmers themselves don't know it. Normally, farmers are less maybe intellectual than you. Okay? If you don't understand, farmers wouldn't either. Okay? So excluding farmers, farmers themselves don't understand the mechanism of agricultural subsidies. Yeah, politicians don't know either because, as you understand, they are stupid, right? Politicians are normally stupid. So they are not so smart to understand. Okay. Did you know that when a new law is going to be enacted to be passed by Congress, or in Korea you call National Assembly, no politician leads it through. No, that's every year. America, your country, same story. You're from Latvia, right? Netherlands, right? Netherlands don't expect all the politicians who vote for or against a new act. Nobody reads it through. That's every year, actually. So, certainly you can exclude politicians. And only two groups. Guess who they are? One more time. One more time. My statement is there. Any subsidy system is very, very complicated. Nobody knows what they mean, how it is structured, but for two groups of people. Group number one, lawyers. Okay. Group number two, accountants. This is not joke. Maybe Jay Leno maybe have referred to this in late night show, something like that. Anyway, this is very true. Very true. The rules are extremely complicated. Favors. Okay, that's what you call opaque. Opaque is the opposite concept of transparency. If everything is clear, people watches you clearly. What girl would you be? A good girl or bad girl? Good girl. Even someone will be good girl if everybody watches. That's transparency, right? If it is opaque, all of a sudden you'll become okay. This is not just a joke. That's a big problem in politics everywhere because rules are very, very complicated. The reason is to let lay people not know it. Okay. Taxes, indirect tax. Indirect tax. There are. You better have some idea regarding this too. Anyway, indirect tax. One more time, direct tax is most typical. Direct tax is your income tax. Okay. You are liable to pay the income tax. Your liability, your burden, and it's you who pays. And property tax is the same story. When you own a property, it's you who's liable for the tax. It's you who pays the tax. Indirect tax is the every year except for United States, most popular VAT, no, indirect tax, VAT, value added tax. United, for your reference, US is the only big country which doesn't have the VAT yet. Netherlands, you have it. Korea has it. So everywhere, European Union, they do have VAT tax, but somehow US still doesn't have it. A lot of discussion, VAT, but still. So US is the only exception, meaningful exception. I mean, excluding very small countries. So VAT is the most popular tax, then indirect tax, and then maybe second most popular is tariff. The tariff is specific tax and ad valorem tax. We call ad valorem. Specific tax is the we'll discuss this in great detail in the spring. Just for quick reference, for your quick reference right now. Ad valorem tax and specific tax is that you import a Corolla, Toyota Corolla versus Mini, okay? So which you admire for, right? Mini, small car, or simply Beamer, BMW 600 series. It's very expensive, right? So Corolla is very, very practical, okay, compact car. Then price is maybe Beamer, BMW 600 series with the selling price maybe 5 times is high. I have never purchased BMW, so I don't have any idea regarding that. But let's assume Toyota Corolla sales at, okay, imported at 15. That's too much. Yeah, $15,000, while okay, Beamer 150,000, twice, 10 times as expensive. Then specific tax is that in either case, per piece tax is that $1,000 per unit. That's a specific tax. And then ad valorem tax, 6 or 10% of the import price. So Toyota Corolla, you have to pay $1,500, while Beamer 500, 600, you have to pay 50,000. Is that clear? That's what we call ad valorem tax. Okay, so in textbook, we assume specific tax per unit fixed tariff. Finally, most typical indirect tax is consumption tax. So this the subtopic of our discussion to last week, the effect of consumption tax, specific consumption tax. In the real world, sales tax, the excise tax. Korea, we don't have sales tax, but we have excise tax, 개별 소비세. America, state-wise, most states, except for a few, most states levy, most American states levy sales tax. I believe that's a state tax. Right. That's a state tax, not federal tax, because federal tax it should apply everywhere in every state, America, right? Sales tax is that the rate is different, so it's slightly confusing. Okay, and in addition to that, they have excise tax. Sales tax, okay, applies to all goods and products except for necessities like rice or very fundamental things. Sometimes it's tax exempt, but most in general. Okay. But excise tax is the selected items supposed to be luxury item. So in Korea, you have to pay. America, same story. You have to pay excise tax on gasoline. So is gasoline luxury good? We don't know. The luxury good or necessity, you don't know. Erin, is gasoline a necessity or luxury good? Necessity. Are you sure? Mingyang. Looks to me it looks like more looks more like this luxury than because I walk to school. This is joke, of course. I live far away from. I cannot walk here. I cannot walk here. If I did, it took forever. Okay, then the page 3. So our conclusion last week was that indirect tax are in general shared between two parties. Two parties, sellers and buyers. The only issue is that in general, not always, shared between two parties. Even if tax deliverer, the party who delivers the tax to the government is the firms, or some cases consumers can do that. But sales tax, by definition, sales is on sales. So it's the firm delivers. The thing is that whether the tax is sales tax is to consumers, to producers, it doesn't matter. What matters is that relative elasticity, who's more desperate. So as you can easily understand, for example, the case of Corolla tax, the Corolla, I said $1,000 tax, consumption tax or tariff, exactly the same story, whether there is consumption tax, tariff or VAT, anything, the story is exactly the same story. So two parties, even if on the surface, the firms appear to deliver the tax to government, but tax burden, tax bearing, who gets how much? So $1,000 on Toyota Corolla. By the way, Corolla is the subcompact car. I guess smallest car from Toyota, but compact car is small but reliable. Compact car. Corolla. Maybe Corolla is the most popular subcompact car in the world. I think best selling. So you pay $1,000 tariff or excise tax or sales tax, anything. Then the thing is that on the surface, firms look like to pay the deliver. Actually, it's the firm. Firms appear to take the burden of it, but burden is shared between you and your consumer and them. Then the only question is that's what you call tax incidence. The tax is incident on you. Partly incident on you or partly incident on them. Falls on them, falls on you, partly on you. The only remaining issue is that what is the share? How is the share defined? It's the only remaining issue. Is that clear? The conclusion is that it doesn't matter who pays, who delivers the tax to whom. Then when it comes to share, determination of the share, it doesn't matter who delivers. Sometimes suppliers deliver the tax to the government. Other times, consumers pay the tax to the government. Sometimes 50-50. So typically payroll tax. In Korea, 4대 보험료. America or some other countries, they call payroll tax. Payroll is per head. Tax is the America payroll tax, social security, something like 6.2, 6.25, something like that. Then the stipulation is that the employer pays 6.25% of your salary, while the firm pays 6.25 salary. That's 50-50, right? That's window dressing. It sounds great. Seemingly, it is equally shared between employer and employee. Sounds great, right? That's good. But effect is not common. Doesn't matter. Who gets the tax statement? It doesn't matter. All that matters is this one. I mentioned. So this is to magnify. You are reading of this one is that S is before tax supply curve. S star Okay, solid line represent D is the same. Okay, D is before F the same because here we assume the tax is on the sellers. So yeah, D remains the same all through. Okay. Then S is the dotted line, broken line. S represent the supply schedule before tax. S solid line, F tax. Okay. T is here specific tax T. Okay. In this case, square diamond, rhombus, is that equally, two of them are equally elastic. Okay. Then conclusion is that 50-50. Sharing will be 50-50. The second case, tilted to the right, means is that comparing demand curves and supply curve, which is more elastic? Before that, let's go over line by line to figure out. Item number 5, page 3, elasticity and tax instance. Who delivers the tax does not matter. It is elasticity. To be precise, it's the relative elasticity. It's the relative elasticity. Just for your reference, economics, all our discussion is all about relative things, relative price. Okay. And here again, when you say elasticity, relative elasticity, that determines the sharing of an indirect tax. Conventional wisdom, okay, in your real life, after all, it's the thirsty man who digs the well, right? It's the desperate, captive man always who takes the tap to pay the. So, Yerin has 5 boys to meet with. She has only one. She is captive too, right? Erin she is desperate. She is very free. She has lots of alternatives, right? So she never pays all hamburgers and donuts or pizzas or nothing. Wine. Do you go to wine? Wine bar. Is it clear? So here again, keep these two extreme cases in mind. Zero elasticity. You don't have any alternatives. You have to buy this no matter what the price is. You are bound. You are captive to the situation. That's vertical line. Okay. You have the other case is extreme elastic. Is that you have many alternatives. If you don't bend to my wish, I'll go somewhere else. Okay. If you don't sell at this price, I'll go somewhere else. There are lots. This one. Okay. So horizontal line represent complete, perfect elasticity, while vertical line represent extreme inelasticity. So these two things keep in mind, then you will not be confused. So second case, tilted to the right. Tilted means we envision diamonds. First is a square diamond. Okay. Second diamond is tilted to the right. Now in this case, which is more elastic? Demand or supply? Demand. Okay. Demanders have larger room to maneuver. Okay. So there's many alternatives. So in this case, as you can see, same T, same amount of T. Then you can see from this, you can see. So who takes the bigger chunk of the tax? Suppliers, right? Demanders are smaller, and the other way around. Diamond tilted to the left. Okay. So my question to Gisina is, which diamond would you choose? Square one? Which one? Gisina. So there are 3 diamonds, right? It looks like a diamond, right? This is square diamond. Tilted to the left, to the right. Which would you choose? Second one? Yes. Third one? Okay, I'm a diamond consumer. I'll choose this one, square one. Okay, this is joke, of course. Okay, as a buyer, I will choose this. As a seller, I will choose this. Is that clear? Okay, I hope that my analogy helps you understand more clearly. So now I refer you to bottom of page 3, efficiency of markets. Already I mentioned efficiency many times. Precisely to know what that means, yes, you follow me. Here we say welfare economics, 후생경제학, how the allocation of resources affect well-being. So well-being, economic well-being, material well-being, not spiritual well-being. Positive statement and normative statement, two different things. It's just for your general reference. You have to know this one. Positive statement, what is? The sun rises in the east. That's what is. Law of supply and demand. A normative statement, what ought to be. I have to build. You have to build. So your house is to the east, to accommodate morning sun, sunlight or something like that. That's value judgment. So right thing, right wrong is both ways, right? A theory is right or wrong. Value, you are wrong, you are right. It's slightly confusing. Actually, normative, even if we say right or wrong, we better say true and false. Sun rises in the east, true. Sun rises in the west, false. So we better differentiate in that way. English is the same thing. Korean language is the same thing. It's just slightly confusing. 옳고 그르다, 맞고 틀리다, 진리. Truth is true or false, right or wrong. This statement is right or wrong. Sometimes it means positive, right? Sometimes it means normative. But you differentiate two of them to clarify things. True or false, that's a matter of normative, positive statement. Right or wrong, good or bad. Right or wrong is similar to good or bad, right? So, what is the right price of a product? Necessities, low price. Luxury goods, high price. That's depending on your, if this is a normative statement, it's up to your philosophy. But as a market economist, whichever price the market defines. So as I keep saying, it's a market economy. Okay, so we it's kind of agree. We agree that market price is always right. If you unhappy with the market price, all then you need to do is what? To walk away. Okay? Walk away. Don't complain with the market price. It's partly you. If you think the market price is too high, way too high, it's partly because of you. Because you would like to buy that, you bid up market price. Didn't you understand that? Okay. Don't complain. The diamond price is too high. It's you, because why the market price goes up in the first place. 성경 same story. Okay. Okay. Then top of page 4, thinking at the margin. Okay. This is one of my favorite diagram. You at the dinner table. This is to refresh your memory. So demand curve, demand for such, how many pieces of sushi to eat, okay. Marginal benefit, okay. Satisfying your hunger, things, and then marginal cost, the concerns about gaining weight, things like that, mouth smell, or many things like that. It's keep going up, keep going down. So increasing marginal benefit, increasing marginal cost. As we all understand, so decision is piece by piece, right? First piece of sushi, no question, you are going to take it because marginal bet is much higher than marginal cost. You take it first unit. So one down, second to go. Whether to take the second sushi, it's apparent too. You keep doing that, and then 8, you may or may not hesitate. Piece 8, number 8. it's a slightly anyway. MB is slightly higher than MC. You take it. Then 9, you stop there. That's what we mean by saying rational people think at the margin. This is marginal thinking. So you keep comparing marginal benefit and to marginal cost, and then you keep doing it. You keep taking it until MB equals to MC. So area below the MB curve, total benefit. Right? Okay, first unit, you just sum them up. Okay. This is demand curve. By definition, the marginal benefit of the first unit, marginal benefit second unit, marginal benefit third unit, 1, 2, 3, one first fifth, second fifth. So sum them up with the total benefit up to covering 3 pieces altogether. Okay, is that clear? So here is that the area below marginal curve represents total the thing. So the area below marginal benefit curve represent if you eat 100, you buy 100, 200, 300 up to this point, that's your marginal, no, total benefit. Likewise, marginal cost, the same story. So here shaded area is your net benefit, which is you would like to maximize. Okay? As I keep saying, your objective function all the time is net benefit, not total benefit, because according to Mankiw's principle number 1, no pain, no gain. To have gain, you have to pay some pain. So because of this, your objective function, objective should be not total benefit, but net benefit. That's the way how you maximize utility from limited resources. Okay, so this shaded area represents, you are with me, right, in this regard. Okay, why there is, remember this is up to here, 0.9. The area below marginal benefit curve represents total benefit. The area below marginal cost curve represents total cost. Then shaded area represents total benefit subtracted by total cost, which we call net benefit. So you can easily check that out. Any other point, for example, 0.8, okay, this is cell is empty, right? Because underutilized opportunity. Okay. Limited resources are limited. Available resources opportunities you are to utilize. Okay. That's economic man. As an economic man, Homo economicus, economic man. You are to do that. You have to do that, as long as you want to be called rational. Okay. You want to be called crazy, you can do whatever you would like to. Okay. We assume. Yunna, are you rational? If not, go away. Get out of this room. In this room, we assume everyone is rational, okay? Including Wonchang. Okay? So here, up to 8, you stop at this small triangle-like area is empty, right? So unutilized, unutilized opportunity, don't do that. Any possibility, grab it. Any opportunity, grab it. Okay, and then 10. If you eat one step further than 9, now problem is that marginal cost is going to be bigger than marginal benefit. The losing proposition to you. Okay, now okay. So let's talk about consumer surplus. Here, our assumption is that leave the market alone, equilibrium. Market will reach an equilibrium where price is P0, quantity is what? Q0, P0, Q0, quantity. So, okay, this individually, this can be Here, who do we have right now? Let's go for the step by step. So near the bottom of page 4, consumer surplus. So this is 성철's demand curve for chocolates. Okay. His MC is 성철. Do you have any influence over the market price? Yes, no. So we assume perfect competition. We discussed perfect competition, right? The case of perfect competition, no one has influence or impact on the market price. Simply, market price is given to 성철. Okay? So market price is given to him. Okay? So this is market price B0. We assume market price B0 here. This is 성철's marginal utility curve, 성철's willingness to pay, this line. Okay. So from this, here again, okay, this is actually redoing what we discussed the other day. 성철 doesn't have any control over the market price. Yeah. He buys 100 chocolates, 200 chocolates. What is his the marginal cost of purchasing? Let's assume Ghana chocolate is 301. Ghana chocolate is 301. He buys first unit. What is the marginal cost of 300 unit? What's the 100th unit marginal cost of the 100th unit? Remember, marginal unit is the 100th unit per unit. How much does he have to pay? As I said, market price is 301 Ghana chocolate. Yeah? First unit, how much does he have to pay? 100th unit, 301, right? 200 unit, 301. So, can you realize that market price represents his marginal cost of purchasing? Is that clear? Don't forget that marginal is always per unit cost. So our assumption is that however many he purchases, he doesn't have, he can purchase at the however many at the given market price. So P is his marginal cost of purchasing. Is that clear? Okay. This is his marginal utility, right? This represents his marginal cost of purchasing. Where is his equilibrium? You don't have any number, right? So let's see. One is Q10, small Q10. That's one represents 성철. Here is 성철's equilibrium. Is that clear? This is to be 성철's equilibrium purchase. Is that clear, everyone? Then, what is his total utility? What is his total utility? Okay, this one, the area trapezoid. This is represent his total utility, right? Because he consumes Q10, total utility. Is that clear to you? So, okay, what is his total cost? Okay, this is rectangle, right? This is his rectangle. 직사각형, okay. Rectangle, 직사각형 is his total cost, right? Then difference, what would you call this? Difference is, this is difference, right? Okay. Net utility. Net utility. Which we call his consumer surplus. 소비자이요. Okay. So it's just a matter of naming. Professional jargon. Okay. The term in economics we call consumer surplus. 소비자이요. Okay. This is his individually. 성철 individually. But in the marketplace, 성철 is not the only consumer. There are many of the consumers, right? 경화. So who do we have right now? Consumers. Here, 성철, 경화, DJ, 병윤, 영현. So you add them up. Your name. You add your name. 민기 or 재호. You know that, right? Because nobody has any influence over that. This is total sum of market demand curve. Market demand curve. So only difference is that this is, if this was 100, this is 100 million. Because this is total sum of 1 million consumers. So in the marketplace, there are million consumers, right? So we sum them up. This is market. Okay. Then market demand curve. Market demand curve. So what would that be? This is total sum of this is 성철 and 경화. We sum them up. Okay. This is market-wise collectively consumer surplus. This is. Of course, collectively consumer pay this total sum. Okay, this should be clear to everyone. Okay, no problem. Is there anyone who doesn't understand this? Jiyeon, you understand that, right? Jiyeon understand that, so does everyone else. Okay, is that clear? You are ready to go forward. pretty much same story. Okay, this is okay. Who's the CY? Who's the CY? Oh, 재윤. 재윤 is the CY. Okay. This is his marginal production cost. 재윤 and company, okay, 재호 and company, 서인 and company, 울트롱 and company doesn't have any impact on the market price as well. Okay. So, however many units you may sell, Sumin, what's your first marginal? This case, marginal revenue, right? Remember? Conclusion first. This P represent here, P0 represent marginal cost of purchasing, right? Okay. So in this case, this represent marginal revenue from sales. Marginal revenue from sales. What that means is that you sell, you are now in the business of coffee can like this, coffee can like this. Yeah. So you are now a firm. You represent a firm. Your cost is that production cost, right? Production cost is your cost. What benefit do you get from producing this? Make money, right? What they call revenue, sales revenue. Okay, sales revenue is here. Okay. As a consumer, marginal utility is the benefit, while the price you have to pay represent your cost, purchase cost. The firm's perspective, what you pay is your cost is the production cost, right? What you receive is marginal revenue. So marginal revenue is your benefit. Okay, production cost is your cost. Is that clear to you? Okay. Then, as always, we have P0 and PC right here. This is GY and the CI and the company, JO and the company, 정원 and the company, whatever. Okay, 성원 and the company could be any firm. So as a only starting point is P0. So everyone's key interest rates, key concern is about the price, right? Buyer and seller. So to recheck, double check what price means to me. Okay. Then it represents your marginal revenue. Why that is? Okay, you follow me. Here again, a chocolate sells at 301. Okay, so to sell the first chocolate, what price can you sell it? 300, right? So that's your marginal revenue of your very first unit. What is your marginal revenue of 100th unit? 300. Is it clear? How many units you may sell? All this per unit revenue is 300, which happens to be P0, right? The market equilibrium price. So you know this very clearly. Market price represents nothing other than marginal revenue, which is the marginal benefit from the perspective of a firm. Is it clear? Then this is your firms. Okay, your firms. Okay, JUN and the companies, or Jisina and the companies, Whitaker and companies, okay, Edgar, right? Edgar and company, marginal cost. So this time again, we assume every firm is rational. If you are not rational, please go away, get out of this room. Okay, so we assume rational. So to be called rational, you have to think at the margin. Okay, what that means is that you have to compare marginal benefit to marginal cost, and then keep doing it until two of them are equal. Okay. Firms perspective, this represents marginal revenue, right? Marginal revenue. P represents marginal revenue. Okay, we sell this many. So let's say Q. This is, let's say 20 firms to represent the firm or anything like that. Q20. Okay. Okay. Then you know that very easily. Okay. CY and the company keep producing it until Q20, right? And then the firm has stopped and exactly the point Q20, right? No more, no less. Is that clear? 성형, this is clear to you. Okay. So you know that this is okay, CY and the company's decision point. Okay. The firm produces this much and only this much, this many, no more, no less. Decision point. So to evaluate the decision performance, okay, don't forget that all this, our goal is to maximize net benefit. In this case, net revenue. Net revenue means total revenue after total production cost. That's net revenue to us. So let's check that out here. It sells this much, this many units. What is his total revenue? This is very simple, right? Okay. This is price, quantity. Okay. This represents what? JY, CY and companies total revenue. Because this is marginal, anyway, marginal. Keep this in mind. One more time, the area below a marginal thing represents the total thing of it. Okay. The area below, this is. So this we realize that this represents, the price line represents nothing other than a firm's marginal revenue curve. So you start here, the area below here. This is marginal revenue curve. Below represent total revenue. Then the rest is automatic. This represents what? The area below marginal production cost is what? Total cost equivalent to. Is that clear? Pretty much same story. So this is net equivalent to net revenue, right? Net revenue, which we happen to call what? Supplier surplus, right? Producer surplus, I'm sorry. Producer surplus. It's just confusing, right? I would call supplier surplus and demander surplus, but somehow that's because of, so economic terms are not designed by a particular person. It's just path dependence. Some economists at this term define these terms, and other economists define that term. So we don't have consistency in calling them. One more time. This is demand curve. I design economics from scratch. I would call this is demand, right? I wouldn't call buyers, but I would call demanders, suppliers. Then I wouldn't call consumers. I simply unify the term demanders, right? So to be consistent. But somehow terms are not consistent in any discipline, management or law or any, even natural science, terms are not so consistent. Sometimes you call in this way, and other times we call in that way. Anyway, somehow we call producer surplus, consumer surplus, okay? Consumer surplus. Then this is just simply arithmetic extension of market, individual to market. Exactly same story, right? I don't need repeat the same story again. Is that clear? So our focus is then market-wise this one. Okay, market-wise this one. This is consumer surplus. This is producer surplus. Now this one. So combining these two. Okay. So market equilibrium. Okay, we overlap two graphs to tell the full story right here. Demand, supply. Remember, this is market-wide. Market-wise. Then, as we all know, now clear, right? P0. Okay. Sang-Hyun, what is this? Q1? Q0. Q0. And market-wise. So, what did he call this? Consumer surplus. What did he call this? Surplus. Consumer surplus. Surplus means something extra. In a sense, that means something from nothing. That's what they call value creation, net value creation. Consumer surplus, is this clear? Okay. Why that is? This was net benefit to total utility, total benefit to consumers, this way. Okay. And then this was rectangle represent the price consumers collectively pay. Then that becomes producers' income, right? Two of them wash out. And from this one, so this rectangle first time works as a subtraction, right? Why subtraction? This high total benefit to consumers, and this is total cost to consumers. Right? From firm's perspective, this represents the total revenue, right? And this represents the total cost. So one time plus minus, and then this is it. Okay, that's we may call societal surplus. But nobody calls that. But I would call, if I write a textbook, I would call this societal surplus. Okay? Society, right? Consumers. No, nobody calls societal surplus. But okay, if you call this societal surplus, it makes you easier to understand further theories. What I mean is the total surplus to the society. This is to whom? This is to whom? Consumers, right? This is to whom? Producers. Producers, right? So if we think a society consists of two groups of people, consumers and producers, then so surplus to the whole society. So you might call this societal surplus. Okay. Then definition of efficiency. Here, a state of resource allocation where it is defined efficiency. Now, this is the first time where efficiency is clearly defined. Efficiency is used in many different contexts, but here, in terms of efficient resource allocation. And for this purpose, the definition of efficiency is this we have here. A state of resource allocation where the total surplus is maximized. Total surplus I call societal surplus. Okay. Surplus to the whole society. Okay. So that's definition of efficiency. Okay. One more time. Efficiency is okay. One more time. A state of resource allocation where the total surplus is maximized. The textbook explanation is slightly different, but effectively means that okay, that's efficiency. Okay, surplus is maximized. Surplus means sometimes consumer surplus is bigger, other times producer surplus is bigger. But that doesn't. That's a secondary concern. Why there is? Who are producers? Are producers your enemies or your friends? Your enemies? Or putting it differently, are producers us or them? Well, I understand all of you are in the position of a consumer, right? More than a supplier or a producer. But okay, nevertheless, my question is very important to understanding. Okay, who are producers? Are they us or are they them? Are they us? Because, okay, who are producers? Samsung Electronics, right? Samsung is a producer, okay, most powerful producer in Korea. Okay, who is the owner of Samsung Electronics? Households, right? Shareholders, like you. Samsung earns money. Whose money is it? Shareholders, right? Shareholders are people like you and me. Maybe you don't own any stock yet, but you have mom or dad certainly. Okay, more likely mom, right? I know not dad. Is that clear? Come to think of it, firms are owned by people like you and me. What's beneficial to the firm is beneficial to us, right? So in that sense, firms are us. So because of this, your primary concern should be how to maximize this total surplus. That's efficiency is all about. Okay. Are you with me? One more time. When you say efficiency is that surplus gets maximized. Total surplus gets maximized. The point where total surplus gets maximized. Okay, that's the definition of efficiency. And the second next question is that okay, so is from the market equilibrium, do we achieve efficiency? Yes, that's the magical point of free market economy. Here, this is market equilibrium. Okay, as I keep saying, leave the market equilibrium, and always we have an equilibrium. Equilibrium is stable. Okay, market equilibrium. One more time. Leave the market alone. Sooner than later, okay, the market will reach an equilibrium, which is defined something like this: P0 equilibrium price, Q0 equilibrium quantity. At this point, the market is cleared. What then? By that I mean quantity supplied is the same, exactly the same as quantity demanded, right? This is market clearance principle. No leftover, no nothing. So as we checked in the first hour today, all who are ready to purchase the thing at the market price, get it. Okay. All who are ready to sell the thing at the market price, sell it. No complaint, no nothing. Everybody is happy. Then, most critical message I want you to know is that this is the very point where total surplus gets maximized. Keep on. Is the point. So any other quantity or any other price, okay, if a price is set by the government, the case of what? The case of price floor. Floor, okay, this is price floor, right? Price floor. Where is the market trade volume? Here and there. This, right? Because from their perspective, supplier's perspective, this is now the government set market. This is ceiling. Okay, market ceiling. You cannot. So however many you sell, this is the price. The price is okay. So this is effectively your marginal revenue. This is your marginal cost, right? What is your surplus? What is producer surplus? This one. Okay. So you wouldn't sell any more than, you wouldn't make any more than this, right? Would you? You wouldn't. If you do, you are irrational. So this is okay. This is quantity traded in the marketplace. So this automatically, this represents what? Producer surplus, right? Likewise, the mirror image is that this represents what? Consumer surplus. Okay. So total surplus is this one. Here again, okay, I want you to take this as your primary concern. Primary concern means the size of the total surpluses. You should be your primary concern. How to divide them between the consumer group or producer group? That's a secondary concern only, if ever. The reason why that is, ultimately, they are us. Producers are us. So, you see this one, right? What is this? You will call total surplus or societal surplus, right? Then this is empty, right? This is stupid proposition. So even if opportunities, there are lots of opportunities to enhance, to increase societal benefit, we don't utilize it. That's a stupid proposition. Okay? Okay, price ceiling, the same story. This is no floor, price floor, the same story. Price floor. This is still floor, right? Price floor. You wouldn't buy any more than this one. Then this is consumer surplus. This is producer surplus. Pretty much same story. Even if there is a redistribution outcome between two groups. Previously, who benefits? Previously, price. This floor, the ceiling. Price ceiling, who benefits? Suppliers, no, producers or consumers? Consumers. That's the way why the government controls rents. Okay? Then the other way around, you know that. Okay. Of course. So in general, these two cases, price control by the governments, okay, any price in any way, in either way, price floor, price ceiling results in okay, less inefficiency here. Then another not feasible but thinkable case is that somehow government forces, the firm purchases this much up to here. Okay, government wants to declare the firm has produced this year production Q star. Then what will be the market price? P star, right? Yes, P star. This question is for Seon. Okay. Government mandates firms produce this much quantity. The market price will be which one? This one, that one. Top one, bottom one. Top, bottom. The bottom one, okay. Because you have to sell this one. You have produced this much, right? To clear the market, to reduce the price this much, right? Then in this case, what is the firm's surplus? Market price is this one, right? Okay, market price this one. This is negative territory to the firms, right? Negative territory. This is positive territory. Okay. Now the other way around, consumer's perspective, consumer. Okay. So consumer. This was comparing these two cases. Okay. Let's compare these two cases. First, purchase quantity. No, production quantity. Okay, this is D, this is S. Then market equilibrium ever will be happy. Okay, government now controls the quantity. Previously, government controlled the price, right? Okay, Q0, Q star. Then this will be new equilibrium. Right? Comparing these two different cases. Customer loses this much. No. Okay. This is represent produce loss, right? This represent additional gain. Okay. Produce. This is the same story. This represents produce loss, right? Produce loss. Then this is additional gain by the consumers. This additional loss by the consumers. No, producers. This is additional gain by the consumers, right? And this area washes out. Previously, this was whose share was that? Previously, producer share, right? Now this has become consumer share. So this transfer of income to consumers producers to consumers. But we are interested in net gain. This represents from this one. This is additional loss to the producers. This represents additional gain to the producers. And then difference represents net loss to the society. I think this may be slightly confusing, but anyway, understandable. Okay. Work with it home. I think this is understandable. So finally, do we have anything left over? Yeah. So we are there. So any question for today's discussions? Anything else? Any concern? Any suggestions? Okay, this closes today's session. I'll see you on Wednesday.